Hello and welcome to this video. Power BI allows you to use parameters to make your reports dynamic. The parameters can also be used to substitute connection information. For example, if you're connecting to several databases, it can also be used to substitute things like query filters and even calculations within a query. I've just opened up my Power BI desktop and I'm going to connect to an Excel data source. So I'll click Get Data and we wait for the Get Data screen to pop up. So I'll make sure Excel is selected. I'll click Connect and this is my data source. I'll click on that. This file is going to be available for you to download under the resource page for this video. So I'll click Open and we wait for the data to appear. So this is the data inside the navigator. So I'm going to put a check next to these financials and it will display the content. So this is what the data looks like. I'm not going to make any transformation to the data. I'm just going to load it the way it is. So I click Load and we wait for the data to be loaded into the Power BI desktop. The data is now loaded inside Power BI. So this is the model and these are the columns or fields within that model. So I'm going to create a very simple visual from this data. So we're going to drag in the sales here and we want to know the sales by each country and also for each of the product. So I'm just going to drag to expand this so you can see. So this visuals is telling us each of the sales by country. This is United States, Canada, France, Germany, and Mexico. If you put the mouse over it, you can see the details of the sales. That one says country Canada, the product is 𝑑𝒂𝒓𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒄, and you can see the sales numbers. The same thing if you put your mouse over there, you can see that. So we've been able to create a very simple visual from this data. So what I want to do is open up this model inside the Power Query editor. So this is the Edit Query tab. I'll click on the drop down and select Edit Query. And that will open up the model inside the Power Query editor. So what I want to do is create a new parameter. You can see here we've got manage parameters. So I'll click on the drop down and select new parameter. So you have to give the parameter a name. I'm going to call this parameter, say, country. Okay. And then description, you can put anything. I can just say country sales. And under required here, we've got the type. So you need to specify the data type. I'm going to make this a text data type and suggested values. So you click on the values you want to be included. So I'll click on list of values. And in the list of values, I'm going to list different countries. So I'll start with Canada as my first country. And then I'll go to France as the second. And then we'll type in Mexico. After Mexico, I'll type in Germany. And the final one is going to be the United States of America. And then we need to specify a default value. The default value I would say is Canada. And the current value, that's the value that would show as current. It will be displayed. I'll make United States as a current value. So once that is done, I'll click OK. And you can see here it's created a new query for that parameter. So it treats that as a query. So I'm going to click on this financials query here. And next to this country column, I'll click on the drop down. And under the text filters, I'm going to click equals and we'll wait for it to come. So these are the filters that we can specify. So under here, the drop down, because I've already defined a parameter, I'm going to use that. So I'll click parameter and it pops that parameter in there. I'll click OK. And we can see now the information here is now showing as United States. Now, if I close and apply this, if we go back to our visuals, the visuals will only be showing the data for the United States because of what we've just done. So let's go to close and apply. And you can see here, before it was showing for all the countries, now the visuals is now showing us just data for the United States of America. The next thing I want to do is save this file. So I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to call this Sales by Country and click Save. So now I've saved this file. If I wanted to send this file to a colleague, all I'll need to do is save it as a template. So under the file menu, I'll click File, I'll click Export, and I'll click Power BI Template. And I just need to give the template a description. So I can just say Sales by Country. I'll click OK. And then it will prompt me for where to save it. So I've got the file name here, Sales by Country. I will just save that, or I can change the name if I want to. So I'll click Save. All right, so now I've got that saved. I can exit my Power BI file. So I click on File and then click on the Exit button to quit. So notice in my folder here, I've got two files, same name. This one with the 32 kilobyte is the one that contains the data for everything. And the one with the 11 kilobyte is a shorter version of it. So this is the BI template that I saved it as. So this is the template. This is the one I'm going to email to my colleagues. So let's assume that I have received this file by email. So I'm going to double click on it. This is the one that says 11 KB in size. I'll double click to run the file. Give it time to launch. And once it launches, we will get a prompt. I'm just going to exit out of this and exit out of this. So I will expect to get a prompt. So this is the prompt, very important. This is what we achieved by creating the new parameters. So you can see here, Sales by Country is the name of the parameter. And then I have a drop down of a list of countries. So if I want, for example, let's say we have sales managers for each of the country, and I look after the sales for Canada. I only want to view the data for Canada. So I make sure Canada is selected and I click Load. That will load the data and show me the visuals for just Canada. Okay, give it a few minutes to load. You can see here, it's loaded the data and I'm only seeing the data represented for Canadian sales. So you can do this for other type of connections. If you connected to several databases, you can use the same technique to select the database you want to connect to. Using parameters makes it much easier for you to be able to view or filter the data that you want. So you only pull the data that you want rather than bring all the other data that you may not necessarily need. So that's it for this video on using parameters. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.